Have you ever felt like your brain just works a bit differently? Like you're not just solving problems, you're building these intricate systems of thought, from the ground up? Well, today we're diving into a really powerful and honestly pretty rare thinking style we're going to call the logical architect. We're going to map out its blueprint, put it through a real-world stress test, and give you the tools to upgrade your entire mental OS. So let's get right into it. Does the idea of building an argument from its absolute bedrock truths, does that excite you? Do you look at the world and just see a series of interconnected systems? If that sounds like you, then you are in exactly the right place. We're about to put a name to that way you think and, more importantly, make it even more formidable. All right, here's our game plan. First up, we're going to meet the logical architect and really define what makes them tick. Then, we'll see where this thinking style can run into trouble when it collides with our messy, real world. And finally, we'll bolt on some powerful upgrades to fortify your reasoning. Let's do it. So, what exactly is a logical architect? Look, it's not just about being smart or, logical. It's this deep-seated drive to construct arguments and whole systems of thought that are incredibly precise, totally consistent internally, and built from absolute scratch. It really is a superpower for getting clarity and true understanding. Okay, so the starting point for the architect is never, ever in the middle of a problem. It's this impulse to dig. You have to drill down past all the common knowledge, past the whole, well, that's just how it's always been done excuse, until you hit bedrock. You're not satisfied until you know why something is true, right from its most fundamental first principles. And from that bedrock, the architect starts to build. You don't see a problem as just one giant, confusing block. No, you see it as a system, kind of like a machine with all these interconnected parts. You have this innate need to take it all apart, look at each little component, and understand exactly how A causes B, which then causes C. You're building this unbreakable causal chain, and every single link in it has to be solid.
Now, this is a big one. A logical architect is not a passive learner. You've got high agency. You don't just want to collect information. You want to test it, to stress it. You actually seek out intellectual sparring partners because you see a good debate as a tool to make your idea stronger, not as some kind of threat to your ego. The goal isn't just to be right. The goal is to get to the truth, even if it means your first idea has to go through a trial by fire.
And finally, there's precision. You value what we call well-formulated arguments. Why? It's simple. Ambiguity is the enemy of a sound logical chain. If your definitions are fuzzy, if the language is loose, the entire structure you've built becomes weak. For the architect, language isn't just for talking. It's a precision tool for building a conclusion that is totally, logically, and semantically sound.
So you've built this beautiful, perfect, logical blueprint in your head. It's flawless. But what happens when you actually try to build it in the real world? Well, the real world, it's like an earthquake. It's chaotic, it's unpredictable, and it is full of messy variables that can shatter even the most perfect logical chain. Let's look at those challenges. And here it is, the biggest, messiest variable of all: people. A plan can be 100% logically sound, totally brilliant, and yet fail completely because it doesn't account for human emotion, for pride, fear, bias, or just plain old office politics. You can design the most efficient workflow imaginable, but if it makes someone feel defensive or scared of change, your logic just isn't going to matter.
And this right here, this reveals the core blind spot for the architect. See, in a purely logical world, the best argument would always win. But that's not the world we live in. In our world, the most persuasive or the most politically convenient or just the most emotionally appealing argument often carries the day, even if it's way less logical. That's a huge blind spot for the pure architect. Okay, the second major challenge is that old classic, the garbage in, garbage out principle. Your logical engine is incredibly powerful, like a V12, but it's only as good as the fuel you put into it, the data. Your entire beautiful chain of reasoning rests on a set of starting premises or assumptions. But what if they're wrong? It is so easy to fall in love with the beauty and elegance of your own logical model. I mean, it feels perfect. It's so clean. But if that model is built on flawed or incomplete or just outdated information, well,
Your perfectly sound logic will just lead you to a perfectly reasoned but completely wrong conclusion.
And the final challenge is a trap that's actually set by the architect's own strengths. This relentless drive for a perfectly constructed, absolutely unassailable argument, it can lead you to get stuck. You get so caught up reinforcing every single link and trying to consider every single possibility that you never actually make a decision or take action.
Yeah, the quest for 100% deductive certainty is a noble one, but the real world, it often demands what we call inductive leaps, making good decisions based on incomplete information. So while you're busy building the perfect, flawless plan, a more agile competitor might just launch a good enough product, learn from the real world, and end up winning the entire market.
So how do we protect this incredible reasoning engine of yours? We don't abandon it. We upgrade it. We're going to add some seriously powerful new mental models to your toolkit to make your architectural style not just logically sound, but completely real-world proof.
This first upgrade is a game changer. You need to start treating that human factor not as some annoying bug, but as a core strategic variable in your system. So before you even begin building your logical chain, you have to ask these questions. By plugging this messy human data in at the beginning of your process, your final logical conclusion will be so much more robust and realistic.
You already love to spar intellectually, right? So let's just formalize it with this incredible tool. Red teaming is where you, or maybe someone you trust, purposefully attack the foundations of your argument. Not the logic, the premises. The job is literally to say, okay, you're assuming X is true. I'm going to argue it's impossible. Now prove me wrong. This forces you to go out and find hard evidence for your starting assumptions. Now, let's add a new layer to your thinking. First-order thinking is pretty simple. I do this, and that happens. It's the immediate result. But second-order thinking, this is the game changer. It always asks, and then what? For instance, we offer a bounty on rats to get rid of them. First-order thinking says, great, success. Second-order consequence, people start breeding rats just to collect the bounty. You have to think downstream.
Oh, this is one of my favorites, made famous by the legendary Charlie Munger. Instead of plotting out a path to success, you just invert the problem. You ask yourself, what would absolutely guarantee that I fail? This simple little flip forces you to see the problem from a totally different angle, and it exposes all these hidden risks and critical failure points that a normal, forward-looking plan might have completely missed.
And this is the ultimate upgrade. It's the one that keeps you humble. Your beautiful, elegant, logical model, it's a map. It's an invaluable tool for sure, but it is not the real world. Reality, the territory, is infinitely more complex. This mental model is a constant reminder that whenever your map conflicts with reality, it's the map that's always wrong. It pushes you to constantly test your model against the messy, unpredictable real world.
So, let's bring it all together. Think of this table as your new cheat sheet. If you're worried about the human factor, you ask, how will people feel about this? And you treat empathy as a strategic input. If you're concerned about the data gap, you ask, are my starting assumptions actually solid? And you red team your premises. And if you feel yourself getting stuck in analysis paralysis, just ask, what's the absolute worst that could happen? And use inversion and second-order thinking to get moving again. The mind of a logical architect truly is a superpower. And by feeding it better data, by stress testing its foundations, and by always remembering that the real goal is to navigate the territory, not just make a beautiful map, you can make that superpower truly unstoppable. So I'll leave you with this question to get you started. What is the very first assumption you're going to red team this week?